For more on these developments, let's now bring in Richard Painter, former White House ethics lawyer. Richard, thank you for joining us on CTV News Channel. Appreciate your time.
Well, thank you for having me.
This presidential race, as we know, Richard, is nothing like what we've seen before. There's been a shooting, there's COVID-19, calls for a nominee to step down. It's wild in many ways. But as you look at the Trump campaign this evening, Trump is holding his first rally since the assassination attempt. What are you thinking?
Well, Donald Trump is clearly ahead in the polls right now. And one of the reasons is that the Democratic Party has yet to settle on its ticket. I know that President Biden is formally the lead candidate, but he is 81 years old, and there are quite a few people who believe that he could have a lot of difficulty winning this race and that they should run the vice president instead. That needs to be sorted out in the next few days, I hope, and that would probably give us a more realistic view of the Democrats' chance of winning this election. Obviously, this is unprecedented, what we have here. Joe Biden is the oldest president in American history at age 81, but also Donald Trump is the first convicted felon ever to run for president on a major party ticket. And he has 3 other criminal indictments that have been filed against him, although one of them was just dismissed 2 days ago by a judge appointed by Donald Trump in the Southern District in Florida. This is obviously a very, very different race than what we've had before, where usually the focus on the issues, not on the personal legal difficulties or the health concerns surrounding the candidates.
You know, you have actually highlighted some 2 very important points on both the campaigns and both candidates at the moment. But let me just talk about what's happening with the Trump campaign a little more. When you look at the visuals, I cannot help but draw a contrast here with what's happening with the Trump campaign. The RNC convention was strong, was disciplined. We had a lot of voices come out in support of Donald Trump, people who have actually been opposing him for a long time. On the other side, the Democratic campaign, like you pointed out, is in complete disarray. There's uncertainty, there's division. Do you see this gradually becoming an election for Donald Trump to win, looking at circumstances where they are right now?
A lot of this depends on what the Democrats do between now and their convention a few weeks from now. They need to sort out who is going to run for president, whether it is President Biden or Vice President Harris. There's some people suggesting that there might be other alternatives besides those 2, but I think that would cause an enormous amount of disarray, even more disarray in the Democratic Party. So they do need to sort that out. And President Biden needs to come to terms with the realities of being aged 81. He has had a long, very distinguished career in public service. In many ways, has had a very successful first term in office, but he may not be ready to win a second term and could lose to Donald Trump. And that's the concern that a lot of Democrats have. And they need to think seriously about whether Vice President Harris would have a better chance.
Yeah, it's clear time is running out for them to make that decision. But to your other point about the felonies and what former President Trump is facing, charged with 34 of those, while classified documents, as you pointed out, that case has been tossed out, but still has legal room. And then, of course, the Georgia election case as well. My question to you being, Richard, does all this not matter when a candidate is running for presidency? Is this supposed to be okay for a large section of American people?
Well, I certainly do not think it was okay. I was a Republican for 30 years and left the Republican Party in 2018 because I cannot accept the conduct, the behavior of Donald Trump in office as president of the United States. And it only got worse after that, particularly after he lost the election of 2020. There were plenty of very good conservative candidates who could have been chosen by the Republican Party. They could have asked J.D. Vance himself, the vice presidential nominee, to run for president at the head of the ticket instead of Donald Trump. There were plenty of very good options for the Republicans, but they've chosen to go with Trump instead. And if the Democratic Party gets its act together, and particularly if they run Vice President Harris, Donald Trump may be very, very hard for the Republicans to actually elect.
All right, we leave it at that for the evening. These are, like you pointed out, Richard, unprecedented times for American elections. Richard Painter, former White House ethics lawyer, appreciate your time and expertise. Thank you.
Well, thank you.